Hello, good day, magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. And once again, this is Dr. Palma, and today we are going to discuss another topic about research, and particularly quantitative research. So before anything else, I'd like to share with you my screen. So just a little background about myself. Okay, once again, this is Dr. Artelo Palma. I am a PhD in Development Research and Administration. I'm the academic head and research director in my academic institution. I am an author, publisher recognized by the National Book Development Board of the Philippines. I'm also a research consultant, an international peer reviewer at Springer, and you can find my researches at or on Google Scholar platform. Uh, I am also a licensed professional teacher and a sole proprietor of the Telopalma Book Publishing. So these are my two books here. Um, the one, The Academic Research the Easier Way, is already published. And the other one, Statistics the Easier Way, is in progress and soon to be published. Okay, so this is intended for teachers. Okay, the program, this is actually part of my program for the licensed professional teachers who would like to earn CPD units. So in order to earn 15 CPD units, okay, may I invite you to join my webinar. Okay, and you can contact me at contact@apalma.info. So send me a message or send me an email, and you can send it to contact@apalma.info. Okay, so the title of this program is Doing Academic Research the Easier Way. And for today, our topic is knowing if quantitative research should begin with the title or, yeah, it will begin with the title formulation. So does quantitative research begin with title formulation? The following are learning outcomes. Participants will gather theory and formulate propositions, variables, hypotheses, and problem statement. The learners will learn the importance of the research gap in the literature. And finally, the learners will develop deductive reasoning, okay, skills with their output as a basis of their progress. So let's continue. Now, take note that your academic research will never be off if it's founded by the appropriate philosophy, okay, and principle of scientific thought. Academic research should be both science and art, and that includes your uh, creativity. Okay, that's why I call it, academic research is an art because it really includes your creativity. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, the discussion by um, going through the scientific thought or the school of thought. Okay, let's begin with the philosophy of rationalism. Now, rationalism began in the third century, and the most renowned proponents of this philosophy were Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates. And these three were, people or intellectuals with who would love to went through who would love to go through a cerebral discussion. So they optimized the reasons, the reasoning skills, and with that they were able to formulate theories. Okay, so or because of their logical reasoning, okay, they were able to produce or come up with theories. Okay, different theories about life and everything in this world. So what are theories, or what is a theory? A theory is a well-substantiated explanation of an aspect of the natural world that can incorporate laws, hypotheses, and facts. That's according to the American Museum of Natural History. And so, in my book, Academic Research the Easier Way, I define theory as something that composes constructs and propositions that could explain or predict phenomena and behaviors based on supporting data and empirical evidence. So I define the constructs as abstract concepts and propositions are the relationship or association between these abstract concepts or constructs. Okay. So these are some example of theories. So as educators, you're familiar with these learning theories. Theories associated with behavior, cognitive, and social when it comes to learning. Okay. Now another one we have here: constructivism, behaviorism, and cognitivism. So yeah, in constructivism, okay, we know that learners construct their own learning environment. So that's why we gave them some activities that will allow them to optimize their ability to construct things. And behaviorism, okay, it's about, coming up with actions that we know, because we know that there is always a response to a certain stimulus or stimuli. So uh, that's why we have to have this program instructions and so on. So in cognitism, okay, this is how we know that the knowledge of how students learn. Okay, we have this knowledge of how the students learn. Anyway, so that's just the basic about this theories. Okay, so you may come to review them. Okay, uh, in your vacant time or if you have free time. Now, another is, okay, for science teacher here, we know what theory of gravitation is all about. And you explain it in the class, and you allow the students to understand the concepts and the theory itself. Another is, okay, we have also the theory of evolution, which is associated with the theory of natural selection, which states that organisms better adapted to the environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. So there's a lot of things to learn. There are a lot of things to learn in evolution, okay, and particularly, of course, in the theory of natural selection. Okay, so number theory, okay, for those mathematics teacher there, okay, out there, we have this number theory, and we know that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 because of the number theory. Okay. And another, sorry, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 because of the number theory. Okay, another, for those who would love to, do baking and teaching TVL subjects, especially cookery. Okay, so we have an explanation what makes the cake look the way it is, what makes its form the way it is. Okay, so a flour provides a structure. Baking powder and baking soda give the cake its airiness, and eggs bind ingredients. Butter and oil tenderize, and sugar sweetens. And of course, the milk or water provides the moisture. Okay, so, and for those social science teachers out there, so why do people behave the way they do? Okay, according to Robert Sapolsky, biology, psychology, and culture are intertwined to explain human behavior. Okay, and for those economics teacher, we know that as a businessman, when you are asked when is the best time to increase their price, of course, the law of supply and demand provides us the idea that when the supply of a product is low, and there's a high demand for it, a businessman or a producer has the market power to control or influence the price. And why do criminals commit crimes? Okay, there are many, there are many explanations. We can look at it from the point of view of behavioral theory or cognitive theory. And from the point of view of behavioral theory, learning experiences develop behavior. And committing a crime is a learned response to situation. And for cognitive theory, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, he suggested that moral development is lower in criminals. Okay, so that's the point of rationalism. The world can be better explained or understood through reason, and through that reason, we can come up through that logical reasoning, we can come up with or we can formulate theory. Okay, and that line of philosophical foundation began in the third century BC. Okay. Now, rationalism was challenged by empiricism, okay, because we know that, we can reason out as human as we are, okay, we can provide reason, but empiricism, okay, tried to or argued that we have to come up with evidence in order to make sure of our, of our stand, of our explanation of everything. So they question, okay, rationalism at some point. So observation, according to them, observation, according to those who believe in empiricism, like Francis Bacon in the 16th century. Observation leads to knowledge. This is now the reason why we come up with systematic observation, measurement, and experimentation. And of course, that's the birth of the scientific method. Okay, now the rationalism and empiricism was challenged or were challenged by the point of view of positivism, constructivism, and pragmatism as another, thoughts, okay, or philosophy. So let's proceed to positivism. Okay, according to positivists, okay, theories need to be verified through observation for them to be undisputed. Okay, this was in 16th century by, of course, by Comte. Now, one of the proponents was Comte. Now, theories need to be verified according to positivism. Okay, there's nothing wrong with rationalizing things with rationalism and empiricism. However, by themselves, okay, alone by themselves, of course, they cannot stand, okay, to get alone. That's the reason why positivism combines these two philosophical arguments or philosophies. So this is now positivism is definitely a combination of rationalism and empiricism, meaning logical reasoning and scientific method combined. Now, positivism was challenged by post-positivism because, okay, the post-positivists believe that theories are hard to verify, but it's possible to reject false beliefs. That's the reason why, okay, that's was in 20th century. Karl Popper, of course, one of the prominent, okay, prominent philosopher or philosopher associated with post-positivism. Now, this is still a combination of rationalism and empiricism, only that post-positivists try to improve positivist point of view by saying that it's hard to verify theory. It's good that we have to verify them, but it's really hard. But of course, it's just easy for us to reject false beliefs. That's the reason that we come up with, propositions, okay, our beliefs about the theory. Okay, so I think post-positivism is making sense. Example, was there really a Big Bang as the beginning of everything in the universe? You know what? This is hard to verify. That is why scientists need to study atoms and subatomic particles in order to understand the universe and its origin, in order to reject false beliefs about the origin of the universe. Actually, this is a reductionist approach, a reductionism philosophy. But anyway, this is also the reason why a doctor, a medical doctor, can understand the whole body of an individual, of a person, by studying cells, the smallest unit of life. Okay, according to biology. So yeah, so it's a reductionist approach, and it's hard to verify actually. When there was this Big Bang and everything as the beginning of everything, it's hard because you were not there during the time it was, it took place. Perhaps given the let's assume that it took place. So yeah, so it's hard to verify. That's the reason why it's just easy to it's possible to come up with beliefs, and it's also possible to reject these false beliefs later. Anyway, that's post-positivism. Now, post-positivism and positivism are actually all equated to quantitative research method. Okay, so the use of numbers here or numerical analysis in experiments and surveys to test the hypothesis, which can indirectly verify the theory. So let's see, okay, there's a combination here of rationalism and empiricism for positivism and post-positivism. However, this philosophy, the post-positivism or positivism, was challenged, okay, by, there were philosophers and scientists who would inquire for the truth and did not use experiments, surveys, or numerical analysis, but instead they used language to interpret the results from unstructured interviews and participant observation. They were anti-positivist, or we call them constructivist, who would love to undergo specific observations and create theories. They employed qualitative research, and we can call them constructivist or constructivism under constructivism approach. So there's positivism and there's also constructivism, which is an anti-positivism. Okay, so yeah, because for example, okay, qualitative researchers would argue that, okay, yeah, quantitative researcher, you are using questionnaire Like, for example, in that questionnaire, you are asking how happy an individual. Okay, perhaps this individual may be able to rate, okay, five being the happiest, and so on. So one being not so happy. So perhaps this individual can rate, but according to qualitative researcher, there's no way for you to know or to learn, okay, why this individual is happy. Okay, so there are many things you cannot not just understand by providing questionnaire. That's according to qualitative researcher. But of course, the quantitative researcher would also ask, how sure are we that you are doing this scientific thing, scientific method? How sure are we that we, the positivist, how sure are we that you are trying to, to be fair and not biased with the way you question the respondents and so on? Okay, so there are a lot of arguments in there. But you know what? According to pragmatism, because the pragmatists, okay, tend to combine the idea, the philosophy of positivism and constructivism. So according to pragmatism, there's it combines, okay. Pragmatist, okay, would argue that there's nothing wrong with you two working together, or perhaps I'm gonna make you a cycle. Okay, so perhaps I'm gonna start with quanti, and then I end up with quali, or in quali and then I end up with quanti. So that's the reason why we have this mixed method now. Okay, that's from the point of view of pragmatism philosophy, or pragmatism. So yeah, pragmatism is a combined positivism and anti-positivism or constructivism approach, which employs mixed method of research. So that's the story, okay, behind, okay, the quantitative research, qualitative, and mixed method. So you're gonna have to start with the philosophy in order for you not to, to come up with the appropriate methodology in doing this type of researches or academic research. I call them academic research. Okay. So there's this is summary now. Okay, from rationalism to empiricism, it develops into positivism or anti-positivism. So post-positivism or positivism, that's associated with quantitative research. Anti-positivism or constructivism, that's associated with qualitative research. And the combination of these two, or as just a cycle of these two, in order to complete the entire research process, that we call it pragmatism or mixed method. Okay, so now let's proceed. So the approach of qualitative and quantitative, okay, quite different. Inductive, qualitative research, deductive, okay, that's for quantitative research. And the goal of qualitative is to generate hypotheses, and the goal of quantitative is to breed or test the hypothesis. Settings natural, and setting for the quantitative is experimental or quasi. So you can come up with, you know, uh, experiment, and then you can come up with a survey, for example. That's a quasi. Now sampling, okay, that's purposeful for qualitative, and sampling for quantitative is random. Data collection, you can use interview guides or sort of observation tools like videos and so on. That's for qualitative. And for quantitative, you can use data collection like surveys, administrative, or clinical data. So you can do some experimental data. You can have that experimental data. The data analysis, we have iterative interpretation. For qualitative, and for quantitative, we have statistical test and modeling. So that's a quite, the point of contrast between quantitative. But of course, the mixed method can do both. So let's begin with quantitative research, a deductive approach, as I told you. But when you say deductive approach, it starts from the general to specific. So for example, we can start with a theory and down to hypothesis testing. Okay, that's logical reasoning for rationalism. And empiricism, okay, you can come up with survey or experiments and so on just to test the hypothesis. That's empiricism. Okay, so let's begin with an examples here. Okay, okay. So observe, think, and read. Okay, you know what? I was just able to finish my dissertation in just 1 month. Of course, you may ask, okay, was it a form of dissertation with a higher level of quality? I can assure you that. I just employed this three techniques here. So I first observe, think, and read. Okay, that's read. Okay, the third one is read. Observe, think, and read. You know what? The common problem in doing academic research is just we the first problem, of course, is finding for the problem. Okay, that's the usual and the tough challenge, okay, among researchers, especially for those who are doing the dissertation right now. So, but of course, I just have to tell you that you have to observe, think, and read. Okay, observe. Like for example, here, when you observe, okay, you realize that there are a lot of things that you can, you can say something about these people here, about these individuals here. You know that they're entrepreneurs. You know that they are well to do. You know that they are top of, one of the top, or one of the 1%, one of the 1% richest uh, people or individuals in the planet. So there are a lot of things you can, you can say, you can think about these individuals here if you just try to observe. Okay. So when you now you think, okay, based on your observation, you may now ask questions. Okay, you observe that, okay, those individuals are successful in our modern times. So why are these individuals successful? You know what? That's part now of your thinking. Okay, you have to think. And now when you think, okay, you now have your question, you can find answers, some answers to your questions. Like for example, if you read, you would find out that, okay, why are those individuals successful? Based on your reading, you can find a theory that will answer your question. So that's according to Sternberg's triarchic theory of success. Intelligence contends that theory of intelligence. It contends that intelligent behavior arises from a balance between analytical, creative, and practical abilities, and that these abilities function collectively to allow individuals to achieve success within particular sociocultural context. That's according to Sternberg in 1998. In other words, Sternberg's theory of intelligence contends that intelligence leads to success. So that's how we do research. I mean, that's how we rephrase we rephrase the the thoughts of a certain paragraph without compromising the real thought. So it's just the same thought. Sternberg was just contended that was just Sternberg's contended that intelligence leads to success. So let me give you an example here. So now you have now the point where you studied about the theory. Of course, you start by with your observation, you think, and then you read, and now you come up with a theory. And from that theory, there are many things that you can argue. Okay, so that's the reason that it's important that we really have to start with the rationalism principle there. So theory, the heart of the lens of the study, and according to Sternberg, intelligence leads to success. And now you contend that, okay, you have now the proposition based on those intelligence and success. These are two abstract concepts here. Okay, so you want to integrate your thought, okay, these are constructs, okay, abstract concepts, intelligence and success. And then from these two constructs, you can come up with your proposition. Okay, you can come up with a relationship between these constructs, and that could form part of your argument. Okay, if the theory is true, then intelligent people are successful in life. If the theory of Sternberg is true, saying that intelligence leads to success, then it follows that intelligent people are successful in life. That's your belief now. But that belief, okay, if it's false, okay, it's easy to be rejected later with your hypothesis testing. But of course, when you say intelligence leads to success, that's hard to, verify, and hard to, to reject, because you really have to test it individually, specifically, okay, in a specific context. Okay, that's the reason why in quantitative research, you have to start from the general down to specific or the hypothesis testing. So propositions are associations postulated between constructs based on deductive logic. Is it clear? Okay, now let's proceed to, okay, now you find for the research gap now, okay, which is now the start of empiricism. Okay, the theory and proposition, that's part of rationalism. Okay, rationalizing things using reason. Okay, now you find for the evidence. Okay, so you read the literature and you find an evidence about the research gap. This is the reason to investigate more of your proposition as evident in the literature. So few studies reported, for example, you read the literature and you found out that there are only few studies reported the relevant association between individuals' intelligence and success in life. or particularly in their finances. That's empiricism. Okay, finding for the evidence. Right. Now, let's proceed to the variables. Okay, now since you have now, okay, you read the literature and it's easy for you now to come up with the variables because these are measurable components linked to your proposition, theory, and research gap. Take note that in your theory, you have this intelligence and success there, and it's associated with your proposition, intelligent people and successful people in life. Now, success and intelligence are hard to measure. That's the reason why we go back to the theory of Sternberg, and earlier we know that Sternberg contended that the analytical, creative, and practical abilities are associated with an individual's intelligence, leading to success. So that's the reason why we come up here with intelligence score. This is to measure intelligence based on analytical, creative, and practical abilities. And I know that this is in real study. Okay, bank savings is not just enough. Yeah, and in fact, this could be impossible to come up with data because of the Data Privacy Act. Okay, associated or bank secrecy law. Okay, so bank savings, but just for the sake of discussion and for simplicity of just illustration purposes, so may I just use bank savings here to measure individuals' financial capabilities? But of course, in real world, there are many things you can use as variables just to measure individuals' financial capabilities. Just for the sake of simplicity of this illustration and discussion of my thought here, I just use the bank savings. Okay, but wag niyo yung gayahin in real world. Okay, because it's not just, it's not enough. Anyway, but that forms the empiricism part. So from research gap to variables, now pumapasok tayo doon sa empiricism na philosophy dyan. Kasi we are finding for the evidence here. Now, after the variables, okay, we now proceeded to hypothesis, okay, and your hypothesis is a version. That's what I told you earlier. The proposition is a version of your belief about the theory, the association between the constructs, okay. Now that you generated from the theory, okay, but this proposition, okay, has a counterpart, okay, here, because these propositions here have constructs, but once, okay, a certain relationship between this have this construct, and then when you transform construct into variables, something that you can measure, okay, their relationship now become hypothesis. Okay, like for example here, higher intelligence score leads to higher bank savings. Higher intelligence score is associated with intelligence. Bank savings, okay, is associated with success, financial success, for example. So that's um, the connection, okay, between proposition and hypothesis there. Okay, but of course the crucial role of variables is, but there's what we call the crucial role of variables somewhere there in there. So intelligence score and bank savings. Okay, these are your two variables associated with the constructs in your proposition. Okay, so I think you are now seeing the connection. So since you have now the hypothesis, higher intelligence score leads to higher bank savings, you can now come up with your statement of the problem. So as easy as that. So you just base your statement of the problem to your hypothesis. So the first question should be in line with the first variable, which is higher intelligence score or intelligence score. So you may ask, what are the intelligence scores of the respondents based on, number one, analytical capabilities, creative abilities, and practical abilities? Take note, these three indicators here are, it came from the theory of Sternberg. So hindi na kayo nahihirapan maghanap ng mga indicators. So it's good that you have to observe, think, and read because this is now the outcome. Okay. Now, number two, okay, it should be in line with the second variable. How much are the bank savings of respondents? And number three, you can come up with the association or the relationship between these two variables. You can ask the relationship, which is based on your hypothesis. Higher intelligence score leads to higher bank savings. So you can ask, is there a significant relationship between the respondents' intelligence scores and bank savings? Or to come up with more meaningful, analysis of your, data and your study thereafter. So you can ask which of the indicators, which of the analytical capabilities, creative abilities, and practical abilities best predicts respondents' bank savings. So now you can come up with a modeling technique later, okay, in statistic as your statistical tool. Okay, so is it clear? Okay, good. Now, so the last part to do, the last thing to do is, of course, to just formulate the research title, Intelligence Scores and Bank Savings of Entrepreneurs. As easy as that. So I think it's easier to come up with that, but instead of starting with finding for the questionnaire, finding for what topic or title to have, okay, in your research, because in philosophy you really have to follow the philosophical foundation of doing quantitative research, and you have to start with rationalism and empiricism from specific or from general to specific, okay, because it's inductive. Sorry, it's deductive from general to specific. Sorry, you have to follow that general principle. So from general to specific, from rationalism to empiricism. Okay, okay, that's quantitative research. That's why it's called deductive in its approach. Okay, so it's a sound philosophy associated with quantitative research. So the rule here is to come up with a good study. You really have to anchor it on a sound philosophy associated with doing it. Okay, because quantitative research has philosophy, has a worldview, has a philosophical thought associated with it, and that's very important. And many of us, okay, overlook that fact in doing quantitative research. Okay, let's proceed. So now I'll just give you some, just some techniques or just an eye view or bird's eye view of how to create a research instrument based on, deductive approach. So creation of research instruments. So for quantitative research, these are the steps or procedures to follow. You can create your own by anchoring it on the theory, or you can adapt or enhance existing related questionnaire. And please allow it to be validated. Okay. When you say to validate, okay, you have to come up with its validity or to measure its validity, and to find out to find out if it really measures what it intends to measure. When you say, yeah, intelligence score. Okay, am I really measuring intelligence score here? So that's the point. And for you to come up with a good measurement of the intelligence score, one technique is to go back to the theory. Okay, what did the proponent tell you about uh, 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 and what intelligence is all about. So according to Sternberg, it includes analytical, creative, and so on, capability. So your questionnaire, and you should be tested also for reliability. Okay, when you say reliability, that's consistency of those items in there to measure what it intends to measure. So you can come up with expert validation, test retest reliability, etc. Okay. So this is how I explain, okay, what's valid and reliable. When you say valid, okay, it really it measures what it intends to measure. So yan, nandyan, bullseye ka agad, no? It's valid because it natumbok niya ang dapat niyang tumbukin. It measures what it intends to measure. And reliable because it's consistent. Consistent na natutumbok niya ang kanyang dapat tumbukin. Or consistent that it measures what it intends to measure. That's why it's called reliable. Okay, and therefore here, this is valid, natumbok naman at some point, but not reliable because not consistent. And this is not valid, but reliable. It's reliable that it's not consistent. Okay, because it's consistent. To be not consistent. So that's creation of research instrument. Yeah, let's proceed to creation of research instrument based on example, okay, we just had earlier, the measures of intention score. So we have the indicator one, that's analytical ability, indicator two, that's creative ability, and practical ability, indicator three. So according to Sternberg, we go back to the theory. Analytical ability, according to him, is the ability to get along in different contexts. So it pays to read talaga, no? Nagbabasa talaga tayo. And in my experience, okay, maraming mga, estudyante na nahihirapan, especially mga senior high school, no? Nahihirapan mag-conduct ng research because hindi talaga nagbabasa or konti lang yung binabasa. So, the ability to get along in different contexts, that's indicator one, analytical ability. Indicator two, that's creativity or creative ability. It's ability to come up with new ideas. Indicator three, that's practical ability. That's the ability to evaluate information and solve problems. Okay, so now let's go back to, okay, so let's proceed. Sorry, let's proceed to my example. So from the theory, okay, we have here the analytical ability, creative ability, interpersonal accord, and conformity. That's ability to evaluate information. So here, okay, these are now the items to appear on your questionnaire. So you can come up with a statement that is in line with analytical abilities. Let's relate to the ability to get along in different contexts. So it really measures that way. Okay, so or that could really measure that. So this one, okay, is associated with that. I easily get along in different situations and contexts. That's why it's hard. It's good that you have to, you know, have your survey question expert validated. Kasi sila yung nakakaalam kung ano talaga yung mga statement na inline doon. Because that's based on their expertise. So I easily get along in different situations and contexts that could measure analytical ability. But of course, you're not just limited to one here. Okay, you can come up with 5 or 10. Pero wag naman masyadong marami kasi baka mahirapan na yung respondents magsagot, no? At hindi na masyadong masasagutan kasi nabubore na, no? So to check na ayun na yung question. And that's one of the limitation and disadvantages of um, survey questionnaire. So creative ability, I easily come up with new ideas. Okay, interpersonal, I am good at evaluating information and solving real life problems or situations. So ito na yung meron ka na parang ganito. So take note, you have two variables here. That the first variable, of course, itong nasa questionnaire mo, pag ina-analyze mo yung data in using statistical tool, you can transform or formulate them into, you know, number, okay, or an information that could be, you know, summarized in a certain number. So yeah, so that's that could answer the first variable, the intelligence score, and for the second one, the bank savings. Okay, so nandun na lahat makikita sa yung questionnaire. But of course, optional na yung name at saka yung sex. So yeah, so ito na yon. And you can use Likert scale. Okay, never means 0, sometimes 1, often 2, always 3. It's just an example. So let's review. Does academic research begin with title formulation? Okay, you can answer that. In philosophy and principle, where does quantitative research begin? And what makes your questionnaire valid and reliable? These 3 questions could help you guide through the process, the rigorous process of doing quantitative research. Okay, so once again, if you want to earn 15 CPD units, okay, you may contact me at, or you may email me at contact@apalma.info because I'm conducting this program. My program is accredited by the PRC. Okay, so it's awarded 15 CPD units. Okay, for those who want to, you know, renew their licenses, especially for professional teachers, there, okay, you may contact me or you may email me at contact@apalma.info. Okay, so these are also some of my, you know, contact details, additional contact details. So you can email me at contact@apalma.info or contact@apbpublishing.com. My mobile phone number is 0936-903-1746 or 0919-9890909. My websites are the following. Okay, I have here https://www.apbpublishing.com, https://www.apalma.info, or you can visit my YouTube channel at Artelo Palma PhD Life Ideas Books or my Shopee store at Fun with Learning Bookshop. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, so I appreciate your time and thank you very much for listening. I hope you have learned many things. That's all. Thank you very much.